Interesting things about this film is that you have such a personal connection with this family and with this house. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, first of all, good morning. It's such a pleasure to see packed room, people discussing cinema. There's nothing more beautiful than that. Thank you, Ryan. When I was 13 years old, I became friends with the 5 kids of this family, and I was enamored by them, enamored by the vividness of the heart of this family, enamored by the affection of the heart of this family, enamored of the joy that pulsated in that house. You know, a joy that was really the reverse angle of the military dictatorship that ruled the country at that time. And for 2 years, I was informed by that family, you know. And one day, something tragic happened, and that family was robbed of the joy that you sense in the film, in the first act of the film. Thus started the long journey to tell this story 40 years later.
And I remember speaking with you before when you said that they used to never lock their door. It was always open for everybody.
Yeah, you know, this is about memory, and cinema is such a great instrument to talk, you know, a vehicle to talk about memory. And the memory I have of that house, the glimpses that I have is from a space bathed by light. The windows were constantly open. There was no lock on that door. And that was so unique in the circumstances, the turmoil of the political circumstances we were living in. And one day I bumped into that house and it was completely closed. It took me a long time to understand what had happened. And then finally, years later, the young kid in this family became a brilliant writer and wrote a luminous book called I'm Still Here. And unveiling layers of understanding of this story, because if it's about joy, if it's about a loss, it was also an extraordinary story about resistance and resilience, and it was so life affirming, you know, that when I read it, I spent 2 or 3 days. I couldn't think of anything else but this, you know. And I think that you're drawn by stories that are that you cannot forget. These are the ones you should tell.